Music people, we are back with episode 14.
Aye.
Hey. We're
14.
slowly getting there to the finale, which is next week. Episode 15 of season 1.
And the Christmas finale too.
Christmas finale to make it a bit of festivity in there. Yeah.
We like that very much.
Jingle your bells and all that.
That's what we all say.
So yeah, how are you, Tom? You all good?
Good, mate. Black Friday, spent way too much money.
Me too. Loads of plugins and stuff.
Plugins, but more importantly, I got this new desk, which I love. You guys can't see. I'll show you soon with some new pictures and videos, but delighted with that. Makes the workflow so much easier. All my gear is nice and
laid out.
I can reach everything, so delighted. And, you know, season 2 is shaping up to be a great season, you guys. Like, we were just talking about it. You guys, we've got some incredible guests already, so watch this space.
I am very excited about season 2. We can't disclose too much yet, can we? But
well, no, we want to tease people.
It's coming.
What about you, mate? How's your week been? Or 2 weeks?
Good. Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks now. Yeah, it's been good. I was like you. I got some awesome new plugins in the kind of Black Friday sale. I got Gullfoss, which is a AI EQ, which I was kind of lamenting to you about it already. It's straight on my master bus and just adds such like clarity and just, I'm not entirely sure how it works. It's one of those that you don't need to do an awful lot with. It kind of does all the hard work for you. It's AI technology. So,
yes, intelligent EQ, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's something like it measures 300, samples a second or something like that. So it's
no idea what that means, but I'm sure it's great.
Super fast to the audio. So it's really like modeled to the T. So yeah, I've just been kind of playing around with some new plugins like that. Forgetting to pick up my doggy daycare.
You forgot to pick up the dog?
Yeah, so I got home today and put drove all the way home and then put the key in the door, and that was the point that I thought, shit, I was supposed to pick up the dog.
Whoops.
So yeah, like I was just getting way too into another podcast in my drive, because podcasting is good for drives, people.
Yes, it is.
Wink,
yes,
wink.
It is. You want to hear these two lovely voices.
And yeah, so just like stupid shit like that. But in a positive note, I've finished 2 songs, both of which are going to come out in January, and I'm very excited about them. So one of them is with Wendy Lucas, who's actually sent in a kind of answer to one of our questions today. So that'll be fun. Lovely stuff.
Yeah. And of course, Christmas is around the corner, right?
Yeah, I mean, where has 2020 went?
I'm glad it's over. I can't wait.
I'm very glad it's over. You're totally right there.
Getting pretty sick of this virus. But if you guys are struggling to find out or work out what to get people for Christmas, if you've got any music lovers in your family, don't forget that Jet Tracks are giving Songwriters Lounge listeners and viewers buy one, get one free deal for any music that you want to put lyrics or vocals to. Just use code Songwriters Lounge and go to jettracks.com and they will sort you out with some tasty tracks.
You can even write your family a Christmas
song. Oi, oi. Didn't think of that. I might do it.
Just a song about how much you love them, to let them know that they're your special people.
Well, I mean, why wouldn't you? And you can. You can write 2 with our code.
My mum's always going, oh, when are you going to write me a song, son? When are you going to write me a song? So, yeah, need to get round to that.
Well, I mean, you can always use our code, Andy.
I can.
Make Mama Brian a happy lady.
Yeah, totally. Right, so enough about that anyway. We'll get on to the real music from the real musicians that have sent in some of their stuff for us to play back to you guys this week.
Lovely stuff.
And the first one is from Faith Marie. And it's a good one, guys. So here
Great
it is.
Song.
Hey everyone, this is Faith Marie from Provo, Utah, and this is my song, Addict of the Gallery. I really hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks.
I play Russian roulette with my sleep every night, collecting more wrinkles underneath my eyes. If only I could tell you how much I love the pain and the struggle. I'm addicted to the sorrow. Guess I turned something bad into something worse. I'd rather be alone, and maybe that's how this works. I've gotten so used to the feeling of rejection, set myself up with these expectations. God really likes to test me, but the way I like to see it is more material, feeling though, taking scraps from destruction, building me up again, sculpted with melodies carved in the crevices. But I stand alone, only to admire, never to touch. Reach out with my hands, but it never connects. I'm a complicated mess that I've come to accept, so go ahead and disappoint me. I'll always feel isolated and lonely, it's part of being a showpiece. I'm addicted to the poetry. I'm hanging up in a room full of silence, bleeding colors from the pain and the violence. Don't it look so beautiful? Bleed tragic. I'm hanging up like a dying bouquet, drying out like a half-eaten pastry. Don't it look so beautiful? Bleed tragic. I'm addicted to the gallery.
That was
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
It's so different. Well, I like the simplicity of just the piano, bass, drums, and vocal, and the vocal is well produced, so that you can hear everything so clearly. Addiction is very good, and the vocal is nice and airy. We love an airy vocal. I thought it was great. It kind of reminded me of Hamilton, you know, the show, in that rap section, especially as she was like pushing the vocal, like you could really hear like the emphasis behind certain words, and you know, that's what the Hamilton guys do so well.
There. Yeah.
Loved the lyrics. They were so dark. Very dark. I especially like the first lyrics you hear are, I play Russian roulette with my sleep every night, collecting more wrinkles underneath my eyes. If only I could tell you how much I love the pain and struggle. I'm addicted to the sorrow. It's so dark and deep, and she paints a picture, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it gave me a sense of, like, it was dark, but I still had that sense of power behind the lyrics and behind her performance. So
it is empowering, yeah.
Yeah, even though, like, the lyrics give that very, like, helpless feel. Like, it's very kind of exactly what you said. Like, if she did it in a different way, it would have came over much different. Like, could have easily came across with the emotions of, like, sad, weak, would have painted a very different feeling, but because she gave it that kind of attitude and you know, it just still had that sense of power for me, which I quite liked.
Yeah, there was definitely grit in the vocal performance, and I don't know if that's just Faith being an incredible professional, or maybe that's a lot of times that's like the producer being like getting the artist comfortable and
getting
comfortable enough to be like, add some grit to that one word. But I thought it was great. I thought the harmonies were awesome. There was like harmonies throughout in the background, lovely airy harmonies, and the piano leads I thought particularly were really nicely EQ'd. They were really nicely touched up and produced, and brought it forward enough to not be in the way. It just sat very nicely in the mix. I just enjoyed the song. It's something different. It's something that we really haven't had on the show yet. It's a first.
Yeah,
it's very theatrical, and I really enjoyed it. And I just implore you guys listening, go check it out on our Spotify playlist. We'll leave a link in the description, and we'll put the whole song there, because the whole song it's like this. It's really well written and it's well arranged, and I just enjoyed it a lot. And I had to listen to it a couple of times to kind of work out if I was in the session, what I would have added or what I would have brought up. And just for me, there's some sub build up in that rap section, and I don't know if it was intentional or what, but I think it just muddied up the low end a little bit. And for me, just some surgical EQ would have just hit the spot there. I couldn't, because it's in the subsection, I couldn't pinpoint exactly where it is, but there was just one thing that was coming up and kind of bugging me a little. But again, producers' ears listening to it, you wouldn't tell if you had some, unless you had either good speakers or good headphones.
Yeah. But was that in the verse, like the kind of glitchy?
Yeah.
Sub bit? Yeah.
I don't know if it was like the glitch of the sub in the background or the glitch of the bass, but there was something there that just like kept wasn't popping, but
Yeah, I think it was popping. I'd agree with it. But like I kind of said, like, I think they deliberately did that from like a sound design perspective. But unlike you, like, it maybe just bled into just a wee bit of being distracting, and like it almost made me think as if she wasn't using a pop shield, but it was an effect, definitely. It wasn't the fact she wasn't using a pop shield.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you? What do you think, mate?
Yeah, like I really enjoyed it. I had to listen to it a couple of times because it's one of those songs that's like there's a lot to it. Like it maybe seems on the surface level, simple, but you could really dive into this track, and I wanted to do that. So yeah, that kind of sub glitch effect, I paid particular kind of attention to in the verse because I was like, oh, that's different. And initially, I thought, oh, like the vocals popping, like I can hear her plosives, and then I realised, oh no, it's like this kind of glitchy subsonic wobble, and then I quite liked it, quite like respected that because I've never heard that before. So as soon as you like, it's difficult now with the amount of music I listen to, and these days I think producers are always trying to push their productions to get like weird and wonderful sounds. Like people record like an axe chopping a bit of wood and use that as a snare,
Exactly.
I think that's what they did in like the middle song by Zed. It's just like crazy. But yeah, I loved there was this like low held sub, which was pretty simple, but it added such a low warmth to the kind of very intro verse. And I really liked that. And then it was removed when she came into the rapping section, and the rap was like very like dry. Like the vocal was completely dry compared to the singing, which was still quite dry a vocal. It wasn't like layered with loads of reverb. But I just liked the fact that you had that distinction coming in, and it really kind of emphasised that plosy punchiness that she did when she was rapping, which, yeah, I really liked that. Really liked the level of her vocals. So well produced, well like gain staged throughout. There was no, you said, like the diction was great, but the levels were also great. So I wasn't losing any like words. And we've spoke about in the show before, like sometimes we find it difficult to hear what you're singing about, if those vocals get lost in the mix. But they certainly didn't in this track, and that's something I really enjoy personally, because I love to just hear what it's about, what the lyrics are. And I really liked on certain lyrics, she had the centre image of her lead vocal, and then on certain kind of phrases to emphasise it, she had hard panned, like kind of, vocals that would come in as if it was like a side chant. I really like that. But yeah, there's not much I would say in the form of like improvement other than that sub glitch. I did like it, but yeah, other people that maybe would listen to it in another way might mistake it for the like a popping vocal, and maybe just a bit less of like, I think it was like 400 hertz region of her voice, just ever so subtly. Just, it might have been the microphone used, or it might have been the room, I'm not entirely sure, but just a wee bit ducked out of that would have been the icing on the cake for me. And that's really it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It really did remind me of that Hamilton kind of vibe, and I love Hamilton. So I think it was just really well done.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's not get into it, Andy.
But I won't put our listeners through that.
Please don't.
No, that's not what anyone wants on the show.
But yeah, thank you, Faye, for sending that in, because that was a really enjoyable song.
Totally. Up next, we have a submission from a band called Foxglove, and this is called Brightlights.
Hello, my name's Abby, and I'm the lead singer of indie pop band Foxglove, and we are based in Manchester, and we've just released our latest single, Brightlights. Brightlights is infused with loads and loads of 80s and 90s influences from all of us, and lyrically it's about accepting that you might not have had the best times in the past, but looking forward into the future and embracing the good times. This is Foxglove with our latest single, Brightlights.
See the moment that the intro hit there. Oh, that beat, like the kind of do.
Yeah, I love it. It kind of gave me like a
hooked,
like an anthem-y, kind of like a stadium anthem kind of.
Yeah, definitely.
Like really cool, and a great intro from Abby. Just really nice insight into the song.
Cheers for that.
Always love hearing what this song was actually written about, and then we can take our own kind of direction with it. But I really I completely agree with you. I really enjoyed the vibe of the intro immediately. And you know, when Abby very kindly went into detail in the intro, she was completely right. Or I heard so many 80s, more so than 90s influences, very 80s inspired. Like the chorus effect on the whole mix was really there.
Big time.
Chorus is
like
so
cranked up
80s.
to max.
Oh yeah, like
there's chorus and then there's that.
Yeah, a lot of chorus. But again, like that was the 80s. Like they saturated everything with chorus. I thought the sound design throughout is great. It was a bit of a busy mix for me.
Very busy.
There's a lot going on, a lot of sound and instruments fighting for that same space, which is always a tough one to mix. I thought the drums were mixed great. I love the kind of, as you said at the beginning, like you just feel the drums immediately and you really feel like you're there watching it live, which I love when production is done like that. And the chorus effect on the guitar I really like, because again, I just like 80s guitar. I like 80s effects. Just a good song. I just enjoyed it. For me, the intro was the best part of the song, just because it immediately put me in the space that I needed to be in.
Totally.
Which is a really well-written intro. When intros often go like, people don't really think about the importance of how do you start your song. And I do it myself all the time. I always think, well, how should I start it? Should I start it straight away into something? But they build it up really nicely, and it just goes and just bang, and it's straight into the song. Loved it.
Straight in, yeah.
What would I have done if I was there? I listened to it a few times, and for me, I'm losing the vocal at points. And I think just the main part of why you're losing it is because it is so saturated with chorus. Maybe the rate is too much on the chorus effect. Always hard to bring that down, especially when you want to keep that 80s feel. So I definitely feel that. I've done it myself so many times, and it is hard to tame when you have that chorus in there, because you want to get, it's like very fine lines between the perfect amount of chorus and then destroying everything. I think they've got the right amount, just it needs to be brought back slightly in the mix. Again, just because it was a busy mix, a lot of elements fighting for the same space. I would have probably just gone straight to the music or the instrument bus and just sidechained the vocal, just to try and bring that back a little bit when the vocal comes in, just to bring that vocal space out a little bit more. But great song. Love the 80s vibe. Love it. Like, love the 80s. It's like one of the eras I'm like, I should have been born in the 80s, because this was, I was all about it.
It was the era for music, wasn't it?
Oh, mate, I thought the drums were mixed perfectly. Like, again, fitting in the mold of like the 80s kind of heavy drum sounds. But
I really like the amount of fills that he used as well. Like, sometimes like drummers can, do a really good beat, but there's not like that kind of fill transit. There was a lot of fills and transitions in his patterns, which I quite liked, and just really like kept the interest on the kit, for me, especially in the kind of the bits where it was like, an intro and the chorus really kind of going for it. Like you, the intro was probably for me the strongest part of this track, but there was lots of interesting areas within the track as a whole, and you can clearly tell that the band have been like weaving this sonic, musical, chaotic mess. That's the best way I can describe it, is there was just so much going on, and it definitely like hits you. But I really, I get what they're trying to do, and I get their sound. Like, they have a sound which is good for a band, and they're certainly not like, I can't think that they're copying anyone or anything. So they have that nice distinction that makes them unique. I really loved the lead guitars. So
me too.
Aside from the chorus effect and everything, I think they should have had more of a feature, because there was some seriously good like kind of melody and licks going on within this track. And it might have been the chorus, or it might have been just how busy the mix was. They were just getting like, well, they were there and I could hear them, but I had to listen quite hard for them. And I thought they were that good, I would have pushed them out more and just been like, hear me, this is a feature. And I loved the way that it kind of stripped back after the busy intro, etc., to the I don't remember it all, but I remember the bright lights. Like that bit when it kind of stepped back for a section before it then went in with the chorus. And I really I'm always talking about a shift in dynamics. Really, really like that. I was certainly drawn in at that moment. And these guys are clearly a talented bunch. It's a good song, good sound design, and I just like the vibe and feel of the track, and definitely can imagine it being quite a good one that I'd want to dance to watching them live. I can tell that it's like built for the live show.
Definitely. I thought the harmonies were recorded like really well as well. They were brought through nicely. I thought the vocal all round was recorded really well.
Yeah. I think for me, the production let the team down a wee bit on this track. Not to be too critical, but I just think, that it was really busy and there was a lot going on here. The mix, I can't tell if it was stereo widening effects or whatnot, but it was almost like it felt narrow but was too wide. I can't quite make sense of it in my ears. But there was some fundamental kind of lack of clarity in the mix and a bit of muddiness going on. And there was some core instrumentals that were just fighting frequency-wise against each other. So there was a lot of overlapping that was kind of, again, we were talking about fighting for space. And I was looking at the submission, and the waveforms often tell a story. And you can tell that this song is really like smashed into the limiter. So there's not an awful lot of kind of breathing there, and maybe a lot of that kind of squashing into the limiter has contributed a bit to that muddiness as well, and that kind of lack of clarity. Not too sure. But fundamentally, like I do really like what this band was trying to do. I think had the production just been a bit more on their side in terms of clearing up the sonic space, given things like the electric guitar more room to soar through, the more room for the vocal to soar through, and to just general have that kind of that polished production, I think this would have been, just even better. But it was a great submission. and I really enjoyed kind of listening and critiquing it. It was really cool.
Oh yeah, me too. I really enjoyed that song.
And I love the name of the band, Foxglove.
Yeah. I like, again, like we spoke about the song titles a few weeks ago, like Bright Light, or Brightlights, sorry, is the name of the song, and very clearly presented throughout is that word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, it's clever and good songwriting. Really enjoyed it. Thank you guys.
It's cool. Thanks, guys. And like we always do, on to a completely different song again, which we like to do on this show. And this is from another band called The Highway Women. And the song's called The Highway, I believe.
Yep. All girl country band. So let's
all girl country band.
Let's check this one out.
Women power. Let's do it.
Hey y'all, this is The Highway Women. We would like to thank the Songwriters Lounge for playing our new single, The Highway.
She was born in the middle of nowhere, raised in a small town trap. She grew up on a diet and all you can and don't step off track. She was born to fly, she doesn't know why. Her heart is this set on running. She grabs her daddy's Chevy, left foot ready, and says, "Look out, world, here I come." She's in love with the highway. She's in love with the blacktop rolling away. No destination, pedal to the ground. Jackson is the only man she's looking to find. She's in love. She's in love with the highway. She found a home on the wide open road, living on a wing and a prayer. Her heart was full, but her pocket was
Oh,
Love it, mate. I love
Mate.
this song.
oh, I love a 4 to the floor beat, like when it's just like.
But I love it when, and you hear it a lot in this kind of country pop genre, is there's like a very clear A and B section to the verse. Starts off really cool, brings on the song,
Yeah.
and oftentimes you get some palm muting come in, the just drum beat brings it up a little bit, and the harmonies come in. And first of all, I love the natural timbre of the lead vocalist's voice. I think it's lovely, so rich, full of color. And to top it off, they've just written amazing melodies to go with it. But she definitely brings it through in the song. Very well performed, very well captured. And it's one of those songs that it's incredibly well written, but it's also really well arranged, because you can tell they've spent some time in the studio on it. Like, you've got the vocal ahs in the chorus that emphasize the hook, and they add it in the perfect place.
I love those ahs. Yeah.
Like, emphasizes everything. And I don't know if this is a word, but I've written down here, it's so sing-alongable. She's in
catchy.
love with the highway. Yeah, catchy.
Yeah.
I mean, there we go.
Sing alongable.
Sing-alongable. I prefer that.
Yeah. Oh.
But I love it. And you listen to it 2 or 3 times and you know the lyrics already, which again is another key point to a well-written song.
Yeah.
The guitar accents in the verse are lovely. Just like when the vocal kind of fades out and then those like the really high-end guitar like sprinkle sparkle, however you want to say it. Just love it. It's just such a good pre-chorus, super country pop. Like the look at our world.
I mean, yeah. Like, if the "Hey y'all" in the intro, like, voice note didn't tell you that these girls were going to be country, then yeah, that bit definitely would have. I love that. Love it.
Yeah, it's such a great transition. Why wouldn't you do it? Again, it makes it catchy, but it also, like, it puts it in the field of, you could use this song in movie soundtracks, TV soundtracks. The radio will always play it because it's catchy, and it works on multiple different genre stations. So again, when I say it's well written and well arranged, it just was. And you know, I say it all the time on this show. I am a sucker for a well executed harmony, and the girls smashed it with these harmonies. so much more to harmony than just executing the performance. Like picking the right chordal tone is key. Whether to go with thirds, fifths, make it weird and go with like sevenths, fourths. But these girls stuck to exactly what the song needed, in my opinion, and executed it perfectly, performed it perfectly. It was recorded perfectly and mixed so well. The whole song is mixed.
Mix, yeah.
The mix is great. The sonic balance is great.
Yeah,
Everything's
really
there.
good.
The bass comes through well. The bass is not fighting with the kick drum. They complement each other. As you said about like the drum beat, like the drums are just awesome. That the production screams Nashville to me.
Oh, there's so much good stuff coming out of Nashville. I mean, it's just
Always is.
the epicenter, isn't it, of good songwriting. It's amazing.
Again, like I said with the first song, make sure you go check this song out in our Spotify playlist because this bridge kills it.
It does.
The bridge is sick. And you didn't hear it in the little teaser
Guitar
bit that we
solo.
just played. Guitar solo as
Yes,
well.
Tom got his
Rock
guitar
on.
solo. Yes.
So I've had 80s, I've had Hamilton and the guitar solo in this episode. What
Yeah.
else?
He's had
I'm
a
a
good
happy
show.
boy. I'm a happy
He's
boy.
a happy guy.
But awesome job. You need to listen to the bridge because slays this bridge. And I had to listen to it a few times to see what I'd add. And I honestly wouldn't have added much at all, apart from in the A section of the verse, or it might have been the B section, just in the verse in general. I can't remember what part it was. I would have just brought the snare up a couple of dB. I'm sure that was intentional to make the snare smash in the chorus, but maybe just brought it up a little bit more in the verse. Just
So it's
not that I
less
was
of a
losing
dynamic
it. Just
shift,
just a touch more, very subtle. And that's it. I thought I loved this song. I loved
it's
it.
good.
This is right up my street, and what a pleasure to listen to.
Very kind of, we've had kind of country on the show, but this is like definitely like a country meets rock feel for me. And it was like stadium ready, like
Very much.
ready to be played to the stadium crowd. Like that's the kind of vibe I got. And yeah, even more so with that guitar solo on the bridge, which we're talking about because it deserves a mention. Even though you
Deserves
guys
it.
haven't heard it, it deserves a mention.
Deserves it.
And yeah, I just loved, like my first thought when I heard this was just musicianship straight away. Really good quality musicianship. And I love toms. I just love drum toms. Tom.
Yep. Especially when they're well recorded and well played, which
Yeah,
they are in
like,
this song.
They're just so good. And again, just the intricacies of it and the verses and really enjoyed that. And I loved the kind of pan muted acoustic guitars, I think it was.
Yep, you're right.
Which whenever you pan mute an acoustic, it gives quite a like unique sound. And that coupled with the electric kind of strummed guitars, they were kind of cleanish, weren't they? They weren't like distorted, but they were just kind of, they had some effects on them.
There was a touch of overdrive, but definitely not distorted.
Just a touch, yeah. So in the verse, like there, I really liked those. Just again, like you could have easily just left it with the acoustic or the electric, but the blend of them together, it just worked for me, and I really liked that. Particularly the vocals were pretty dry in this, but that gave a real intimate performance. So it didn't like push them back like in the depth of the mix. It really kept her voice up present and commercially polished. And it was really like well tonally balanced, the vocal. So it's clearly been well produced. Like it's a good sounding vocal, both in the delivery and her natural voice, but you can tell that there's been a good engineer that sat there and really kind of balanced her voice out nicely. I guess I would have pushed the limiting on the mix a wee bit more. Again, I've kind of looked at the submission because I just like to look at waveforms because that sometimes tells a story as well. Whenever
Yeah, you learn
mixing,
from it, don't you? Yeah.
I look at the waveforms and, you know, there's a visual indication as well of what the dynamics are looking like. And yeah, for me, like I would have hit the limiter a bit more and just got a bit more get a bit more out of it. They were still quite away from, kind of pushing it. But yeah, I mean, I also loved the harmonies. Really, really nice. And I also paid particular mention to that. I think the only thing I can possibly mention also is, see the bit just before the chorus dropped and there was that space. I would have just done like a reverse reverb tail or something with like a cymbal crash at the end of it. So it would have been like, and again, that's just like a production transition thing that is like something that would have made me go even more like, oh my God. But just coming in after the kind of dead space was still really cool. So that's just my kind of, again, what I would have kind of ran by the guys if I was in the studio. But really good song, very strong mix, very strong musicianship, and very strong hook.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear more from this band.
Yeah.
It's right on my street.
Right up
Right
your street.
on my street.
So thanks y'all for sending in.
Thanks, y'all. Oh, it sounds so weird in like a Scottish accent.
So weird in my accent.
Thanks, y'all. Sounds weird in mine as well.
Y'all.
We just should say it. Thanks, mates. That's what I'll say. Thanks, mates.
Thanks, you legends. That's what I'd say.
Thanks, lassies. That's what you should say.
Thanks, lads and lassies. Aye. Thank you, Bonnie Lassies, for your submission. It's been
there we go. A bit of Scotland coming
hear.
into that. But thanks, guys. What a fantastic array of songs. Really enjoyed that.
Totally. So we're going to move into now our section with the question and answers. And we asked you last week, in terms of the songwriting question, what did we ask, Tom?
Well, this week was a little bit different. The last few weeks we've been asking more of, how do you achieve something in your song? But this week we kind of twisted it up a bit and we asked a simple question, but a good question. Mm-hmm. And that question is, who is your favorite ever songwriter and why? Good question.
So it's a good question. And I've got certainly a couple on my sleeve. But we'll play the first one, and this is from Jess.
Favorite songwriter? That's a tougher question. Because like all songwriters, they have like their ebb and flow, and eventually they go bad like cheese. But as far as consistency goes, I feel like if I didn't listen to those early Springsteen songs like Thunder Road, I never would have fallen in love with music as much as I did when I was a teenager. So I have to credit Bruce Springsteen for all of that. I was pretty mesmerized for a long time. But also this dude out of Canada, Justin Rutledge, really got me heavy into songwriting and wanting to play guitar. So both of those.
I thought cheese gets better with ages, or am I getting that wrong?
I don't know.
But I love how he was like,
not a cheese expert, but
I just love how he brought that in there. Like, yeah, I mean, they all go bad like cheese.
It's a great metaphor, wasn't it? It really was. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure Springsteen is on so many people's lists.
Yeah, totally.
What a guy!
What a guy!
I just remember seeing him live, and he performed for like 4 hours.
He does mammoth gigs, yeah.
He's like an old man now. Like, how old is
How
Bruce?
does he do it?
I couldn't believe it. He was like, and he just, a sign of a great performer when they're like, what songs do you guys want to hear? And he just looks around and like, the first one he hears, he's like, oh, I just heard you. He's 71 years old, and I must have seen him 7 years ago. So what, 65? And he did a 4-hour set running around, and his voice sounded the same from when he came out to when he left. So, yeah, Jess, smashed that submission, mate.
Smashed it, mate. Smashed it.
You smashed it.
Smashed it. Right, next one is from Bobby.
Hey, this is Bobby Donnelly. Thank you for having me record this answer for you guys. I'm going to say Damian Rice today. He really gets me every time emotionally, just really chock full of emotion. And he also manages to pack a punch with very few words at times. We all have our moments where I think we get wordy, whether for good or bad. But in a lot of his more powerful songs, I think he does a lot emotionally with very few words. So I think that's pretty cool, and that's why he's my favorite today.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
man. Damien Rice, just classic Irish songwriter, just does it well. And like Bobby said, just very simple.
Simple,
the
not word
words.
vomity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah, man. I agree with that
Sweet.
one. I love that kind of style.
The next one is from Wendy.
Hey guys, this is Wendy. My favorite songwriter, I think, is Theo Katzman. He's a singer-songwriter, independent artist actually, and he's really great at writing clever lyrics and really creative lyrics, which I love. And he's also really good at including imagery in his work. And almost every song that he writes, I'm like, oh, I wish I'd thought of that. So yeah, I'd say that Theo Katzman is my favorite songwriter.
I haven't heard of Theo Katzman, but I'll check him out because I
I've
love
definitely not
songwriters like
either.
that. I
Yeah,
wonder
that's-
how many
that's cool.
moments have you had, Andy, where you think, I wish I wrote that?
So many. So many.
So many.
So many. I mean, you just got to listen to some of the classic stuff which will outlive like anyone. Like, we will all die. I know that sounds really morbid, but some of the classics will live on for like ever, because it's just like there's just magic in them. Stuff from Queen, even ABBA. There's just
I was
stuff-
literally about to say ABBA, and
there's just stuff in those fundamental songs that is just like magic that is timeless. And that's the stuff that you go, oh, I wish I could harness some of that magic, Amazing.
so many. I mean, there's so many that you think, how did they write that? So beautifully simple. How did they write that? Like, for me, it's lines. I'll hear a line and think, oof.
Yeah. The
How
ones
would-
that hit you in the
Yeah.
heart. Yeah.
And a lot of the time, the lines are coupled with the melody. So,
Hand in hand.
I mean, who do you think your favourite ever songwriter is, Andy? I know we've answered this on the show, but it might have changed.
We have already answered this on the show. And it's difficult for me to change my answer because, like, as soon as the question came up again, I was just I was drawn there. So I'm gonna say it again for people that are coming in on fresh. But my favourite, definitely in my top 5, is a man called Jason Lancaster, who was a founding member of the band Mayday Parade. And he's just about to release a solo album, actually, I think. And has put out a couple of cheeky singles. But he's just got this way with me, which, like, the pain in his voice and the lyrics, and he's got this way of, like, soaring, like, a really painful lyric that just makes you go, whoa. So I think, as well, like, music's very nostalgic, isn't it? And you relate a lot of music to, like, memories. And a lot of my kind of really happy memories of, like, teenage years, is when I was listening to a lot of the music that he wrote, and a lot of, like, learning as well through, like, heartbreak, and really identifying with a lot of his songs, which were, also about heartbreak, and finding comfort in those lyrics. So I think for me, he's definitely up there. Yeah. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, last time I said Freddie Mercury. And
True, yeah, that's true.
he always comes to mind, but I want to give a special mention to a guy that I didn't mention last time, and someone that I'd be surprised if you've heard of. He's called Brett James. He is a songwriter out of Nashville. He's written countless songs for huge artists, professional songwriter. One of these guys that goes to the same room every day with different people and just writes songs and tries to sell them.
Yeah.
But he's written so many songs. And I saw him live because they do like a CMA, which is the Country Music Association songwriter series, and they went to London. So I saw him and a couple of the other big names, People like Bob DiPiero were there. A duo called Striking Matches, who wrote a lot of the original music for the show in Nashville.
Ah, yeah.
And they just played songs they've written, and they talked a little bit about everything, to be honest. But they spoke mainly about like what the song was about. Then they said that, and then, you know, Kelly Clarkson recorded this, or Beyonce recorded this, or
name drop.
Yeah, just one of those things like, well, I didn't think it'd go anywhere, but then Pink recorded it and it went multi-platinum, and you're like, what? Like,
what? Yeah, nuts.
So yeah, that's mine. But still, I think of all time, it's got to be Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, absolute genius.
You can't come
musical
close.
Genius. No, unreal. Right, cool. So, in terms of the production question, what I asked is something that I'm always kind of trying to learn more about myself. I'm certainly not an expert in it. And I'm always kind of trying to listen to other people's sound designs, just to see how they're making their record and their kind of single sound that little bit different, or add that signature sizzle, you know, so that people listen and they're like, oh, that's their sound. So yeah, I asked people, how do you guys tackle your sound design? And here is the first reply.
Well, what equals my song sound design? This is a good question, actually. I will be short, but I will be loud and clear. Though, basically, every time I produce one of my songs, I try not to fall in the banal solutions. Basically, to tickle my songs, I try to find those elements that create the unexpected in the songs. For example, you have a strong chorus and you think like, oh, good, here, I don't know, I would like to add like a big guitar, distorted guitar. Well, no, try to find another solution, maybe something that you didn't think about, or unexpected instrument or unexpected solution will create a new way of seeing your song. I mean, something you never thought about, right? So you might see this song in another way or from another point of view, and in that case, maybe the song will give you something that you didn't expect, right? So the song comes alive and you have just to follow it. So follow the song, and that's all.
That was loud and clear.
Yeah, that was definitely loud and clear, mate.
Love that. Yeah. So take something unexpected, which a lot of people are doing now. So if you listen to some of the smash hits out there, you know, they're putting samples in that are just completely, sometimes normal sounds that are just manipulated in such a unique way. But yeah, like that's interesting. It's good. It's good.
I watched a video of this YouTuber the other day who sampled a water droplet, and then he put like a ton of saturation delay on it and then reversed it, and it was the craziest sound you've ever heard. And then he used it in a build-up.
Oh, build-up, yeah.
It was just like
a massive riser.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, damn, I want to try that. But thank you, man. That was a wonderfully.
That was from Tommy.
Energetic answer. I loved it.
It was. We love that energy. Fantastic. This one is from Cryo.
For the sound design for my tracks, I like to start with a lot of presets. I've got a few plugins which I know really well, so I use that as a solid starting point. From that point on, I start to think more about the width of the track, where the sound that I've chosen is going to be sitting in the mix. Either make a few tweaks to that preset sound to sort of make it my own, or I'll then swap it to a different synth, one that maybe has a few more controls, allows me to control the sound a bit more. And whenever I get the chance as well, I'll use my hardware synth, which is good fun. trying to learn a bit more about the process of creating sounds from scratch. And with analog stuff as well, you get kind of weird artifacts, I guess, which are good fun to play with. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Good
yeah,
man.
That's class.
Good
that
man.
Was good. That was a good answer. I'm definitely a preset starter kind of guy. To get me started, and then I will manipulate to suit until I kind of like what Tommy said, come across something completely unexpected. And I hit that kind of weird sound in the synth, or it just changes it in a way that I'm like, oh, right, okay, I'll keep it there.
Yeah, I'm the same. I don't know enough about synths and LFOs and all those funky bits to be able to build my own sound design a lot of the time, but I'll definitely start at a preset and then kind of work my way to a sound I like. Again, it's something I'm drastically trying to improve because I don't actually do a lot of sound design. A lot of my stuff is just basic. Not a lot of thought goes into it, just to kind of build out the back of a track, and I use acoustic instruments to more, but I'm really trying to change that, go outside of my comfort zone. But great answer, man.
Great answer. Next one is from Theo.
Hi guys, so this is Theo from Edeni. I do mainly indie trip hop, synth kind of genre. This is a very interesting topic, sound design. I think I've got two main approaches to this. One is like the very straightforward and easy, lazy kind of approach. Would be just to like, if I have a sound in mind that I want to replicate, to just go over all my presets and find the one that matches the most, you know. I would also like stack some presets up, and that can create some nice new kind of sounds. And another one is more like experimental, I would say. That would be like so trying to do something that feels wrong. I would like try to find an unusual sound by experimenting and doing like crazy stuff, let's say. So I don't know, for example, I would take a vocal, very reverbed, and I would take only the reverb. I would reverse it. I would put an amp emulation behind it, you know, and then putting everything in a drum rack, and then create this kind of pad, you know, like trying like, you know, different stuff is one other approach. Yeah, that would be it, I think. Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
Cheers, mate. That was
so good. That was a really good answer. I like the detail that he gave as well, to like just one example of something he's tried out. Because I need to do more of that. I need to do more of like really like spending time on sound design rather than. It's a difficult one because like the producers behind some of the stuff for like Justin Bieber, like the, you know, that album that he released with like Sorry and What Do You Mean, that was like groundbreaking stuff. And it was like literally, I think it was Skrillex on an interview said like, yeah, he'll like literally, he'll put in like shit sounds at the start deliberately so that it forces him to get like better sounds, but he'll spend hours like just playing around with stuff until he gets like that one that's like, oh, that's the one. So it's like definitely an efficiency killer because you've got to spend time on it and you've got to really just do loads of different stuff. So yeah,
I think it's easy to forget, isn't it? Like we live in an age where you want things now, and with like presets being available. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I can't find the right one. I'll just throw this in.
Lazy.
Yeah. So I get what he was saying about taking the lazy route, but if you spend some time on it and just play around, the worst thing that's going to happen is just go to the original sound that you had.
Yeah.
Like
I do like sometimes putting like a synth, bouncing it out and then putting that through like an amp simulator again. And you do get some crazy kind of, obviously you're just starting to muck the signal up, but Yeah, it's quite a cool one that I've tried before.
Yeah,
Cool.
I need to just play around with it more, I guess.
Next one is from Asher.
So soundscapes. So just like any element in music, or whether it's an element or a production aspect or an ambience, whatever the design for the sound is, the first consideration I always have is contrast. So when is the ambience there and when is it not there? When are spatial elements there and when are they not there? When are we contrasting width and when are we going super mono? When are we, producing a bunch of high-pitched sounds in contrast to a bunch of 808s and low pitch sounds. So really the focus for me is understanding what contrast or what elements or parameters in the music I'm creating are going to be contrasting and at which points in time in the music. So there's time elements, but it's where are the contrasts happening? Why are they happening there? And the bottom line is it always needs to support the songwriting, or at least the message that you're trying to communicate in the song. So that's kind of where I see and where I start my sound design conversations and thoughts.
Really good one. Really good answer.
Yeah,
So
again,
it's all a bit contrast.
Makes you think, doesn't it? Yeah, it does make you think.
Yeah. And I like the fact that it's like that sound design answer was quite a lot about like the structure of the song as well. He's not just thinking about the actual sound of an instrument. He's thinking about, right, so when do I want the song to go mono, or when do I want it to go super wide to drive that, that emotion, that context? And when do I want it to be bright? When do I want it to be dark? And that's almost having an influence on his kind of instrumentation and sound design, which is really cool. So yeah, thanks, Asher. That's made me and Tom think about it.
It's definitely made me think, yeah.
Next one. And our next and final one is from Toby.
My way of working when it comes to sound design is get to know one synthesizer really, really good. So like, everything, how to route them, how to work them. Because if you know one, you know them all because they are all built the same way. So if I got in mind a sound that I want to make, maybe a brass step or something, I know if I open Serum, which is my main synthi, I know how to do this and to get the sound I have in my head, because I know all the routing and I'm really fast in it, and I know how the init preset is sounding and so on. When you know one synthi, you can get nearly every sound that you want from this synthi. So this is like a really good way to work fast and good.
Yeah, cool. So just learn your tool inside out, get to the fundamentals, develop that experience, and then, that'll help you get quicker to what you're hearing in your head. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just another good one, isn't it?
Another good one.
It's another kind of simple one, but something that we need to hear more of, I think. Just get good at your instrument.
Definitely. I mean, that's been brilliant. I'm loving like getting some production technical stuff coming on,
Me too.
Because it gets us thinking, gets the producers that will be listening now, in the mood for some sound design.
Definitely.
And definitely, it's cool to hear people's different techniques and tips, because there's no real handbook to it. There's different methods, and it's cool to share that learning. So thanks, guys, for your submissions. It's definitely appreciated.
Yeah, I really enjoyed those. And like you said, it's just nice to hear from someone other than us. It's nice to... Everyone has their different techniques to do things, and I think it's important to hear them, because just like that, I was inspired by like 2 or 3 things that I'm now going to go and try. And it's just about putting the time and effort in to do that. Like, getting good at something definitely doesn't happen over the night, and you have to just keep reminding yourself that you have to be bad at something first to be good at it.
Totally.
And it's the same here. But what about next week, guys? It's gonna be our Christmas special, end of season wrap.
Yeah.
I might have a glass of bubbly.
Yeah, we should do that. We should
I
just
might
get drunk.
Yeah, I might bring a beer.
See how the show goes with me and Tom drooling into the microphones.
But next week's gonna be cool, because like we get to listen to some original Christmas songs submitted,
Yeah, this
which
is
is
gonna be sick.
just sick. And so next week's songwriting question is again, it's going to be a favorite. Like, what is your favorite? And of course, you probably already know what I'm going to say, and it's what is your favorite Christmas song? Nice and simple, nice and cheery, get you in the mood, get you in the holiday spirit. Have a glass of bubbly, glass of beer with us, and I can't wait to hear everyone's answers.
But a wee whiskey, a wee dram.
Ooh,
a wee cheeky dram.
Little bit of whiskey, bit of Scotch for Andy, and
yeah, bit of Scotch whiskey. Yeah, it's a good question, and straight away I know my answer, but I'll save that for next week. And my production question would be: we talk a lot on the show about saturation. I want to know what your favourite saturation plugin is. Now, this can be free, it can be a stock, or it can be, a paid-for saturation plugin. But for all the producers out there, what is your favourite saturation or your go-to saturation plugin, and why?
Good question. I'm already excited to hear what you say, because in my head, like as soon as you said it, I was like, 2 or 3 came to mind, and I was like, they're my go-tos. So I can't wait to talk about it.
There might be a couple as well that people want to shout out, and that's fine. But I'm deliberately I'm not wanting people to just say 10 plugins. I want the ones that really are meaningful to your mixes. Yeah.
Oh, well, I can't wait to hear everyone's answers already.
Yeah, totally. So thank you guys for sticking around for the end of episode 14. And like Tom has already mentioned, we will be back with the final episode of season 1. And we have just had so much fun doing this.
It's a blast,
and,
yeah.
we're going to have a lot of fun topping off the season next week. But until then, keep the music flowing, and we will be right back with some festive goodness to lace your ears around.
Yes, we will. We'll get you right in that holiday mood, guys. Don't you worry about that.
Totally. Take it easy, guys.
Till next week, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.